Kunja Vihari. Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopinatha, Radha Gopinatha, Radha Gopinatha Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Kunja Vihari, Radha Kunja Vihari, Radha Kunja Vihari Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Shri Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Shtarashata Shishimati Si Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Can I just get Srimad Bhagavatam, please? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nastapreshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are on Canto 5, Chapter 14, which is entitled The Forest of Material World as a Forest of Enjoyment, text 45. Yagyaya Dharma Pataye Vidinai Punaya. Yagyaya Dharma Pataye Vidinai Punaya. Ya Yogaya Sankhya Shirase Prakriti Yogaya Sankhya Shirase Prakriti Narayanaya Haraye Nama Ityudaram Narayanaya Haraye Nama Ityudaram Kasyan Mrigatvam Apiyasam Udajaharam Hasyan Mrigatvam Apiyasam Udajaharam Yagyaya Dharma Pataye Vidinai Punaya Yogyaya Sankhya Shirase Prakriti Narayanaya Haraye Nama Ityudaram Hasyan Migatvam Apiyasam Udajaharam Yagyaya Dharma Pataye Vidinai Punaya Sankhya Shirase Prakriti Narayanaya Haraye Nama Ityudaram Hasyan Migratvam Apiyasam Udajaharam. Some of the ladies. Yagyaya Dharma Pataye Vidinai Punaya Yogaya Sankhya Shirase Prakriti Narayanaya Haraye Nama Ityudaram Hasyam Mrigatvam Apiyasam Udajaharam Yagyaya Dharma Pataye Vidinai Punaya Yogaya Sankhya Shirase Prakriti Narayanaya Haraye Nama Ityudaram Hasyam Mrigatvam Apiyasam Udajaharam. You want to try? Yes. Yagyaya Dharma Pataye Vidinai Punaya Yogaya Sankhya Shirase Prakriti Narayanaya Haraye Nama Ityudaram Hasyam rigatvam samudajahara. Thank you. Word by word translation. Yagyaya, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enjoys the results of all great sacrifices. Dharma Pataye, unto the Master or propounder of religious principles. Vidinaya Punaya, who gives the devotee the intelligence to follow the regulative principle expertly. Yogaya, the personification of mystic yoga. Sankhya Shirase, who taught the Sankhya philosophy, or who actually gives knowledge of Sankhya to the people of the world. Prakriti Ishvaraya, the supreme controller of this cosmic manifestation. Narayanaya, the resting place of innumerable living entities. Nara means the living entities, and Ayana means the shelter. Haraye, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Hari. Namaha, respectful obeisances. Iti, thus, Udaram, very loudly. Hasyan, smiling. Mrigatvamapi, although in the body of a deer. Yaha, who. Samudujahara, chanted. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Even though in the body of a deer, Maharaj Bharata did not forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, when he was giving up the body of a deer, he loudly uttered the following prayer. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is sacrifice personified. He gives the results of ritualistic activities. He is the protector of religious systems, the personification of mystic yoga, the source of all knowledge, the controller of the entire creation, and the supersoul in every living entity. He is beautiful and attractive. I am quitting this body, offering obeisances unto him, and hoping that I may perpetually engage in his transcendental loving service. Uttering this, Maharaj Bharata left his body. Purport. The entire Vedas are meant for the understanding of karma, jnana, and yoga, fruitive activity, speculative knowledge, and mystic yoga. Whatever way of spiritual realization we accept, the ultimate goal is Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entities are eternally connected with Him via devotional service. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ante Narayana Smritihi, the perfection of life is to remember Narayana at the time of death. Although Bharat Maharaj had to accept the body of a deer, he could remember Narayana at the time of death. Consequently, he took birth as a perfect devotee in a Brahmana family. This confirms the statement of Bhagavad Gita 6.41. Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bharashto Bijayate. One who falls from the path of self-realization takes birth in a family of Brahmanas or wealthy aristocrats. Although Maharaj Bharata appeared in the royal family, he became neglectful and took birth as a deer. Because he was very cautious within his deer body, he took birth in a Brahmana family as Jada Bharata. During this lifetime, he remained perfectly Krishna conscious and preached the gospel of Krishna consciousness directly, beginning with his instructions to Maharaj Rahugana. In this regard, the word Yogaya is very significant. The purpose of Ashtanga Yoga, as stated by Madhvacharya, is to link or connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The goal is not to display some material perfections. So, one more, the verse, but just in English. Even though in the body of a deer, Maharaj Bharata did not forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, when he was giving up the body of a deer, he loudly uttered the following prayer. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is sacrifice personified. He gives the results of ritualistic activities. He is the protector of religious systems, the personification of mystic yoga, the source of all knowledge, the control of the entire creation and the supersoul in every living entity. He is beautiful and attractive. I am quitting this body, offering obeisances unto him, and hoping that I may perpetually engage in his transcendental loving service. Uttering this, Maharaj Bharat left his body. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupada Krishna Prishta Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Guravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak a little bit from Srimad Bhagavatam for my own purification also. I remember I think it was 3 or 4 months ago when I was giving a lecture, you were talking about Maharaj Bharat. So again, we are at Maharaj Bharat. But of course, there are a lot of chapters pertaining to his personality, to his life. And as we can see, he had various incarnations. First as Maharaj Bharat, and then as a deer, and then as Jada Bharata. So now basically we're talking about, let's say, his third life on this planet. And how he got this birth is by actually uttering this prayer of before he left his body as a deer. So we all know actually the story. It's just like what we can learn from Maharaj Bharata. And actually he was, even as Maharaj Bharat, he was on the level of Bhava, which is very close to perfection. And yesterday, Kirtan Rasa, right? He said that it was because of he didn't have association of the devotees, so that's one of the reasons why he fell, and that is. But I think also somewhere I read that Krishna wanted to make him as an example for certain things, and that's what Krishna does. And this prayer actually refers very much to that, because we all have desires. We even have spiritual desires, but maybe these spiritual desires can also be a little bit selfish, because Srila Prabhupada, he always said that we should always desire to go back home, back to Godhead. So if we ever have some spiritual desires, that's actually the prominent one, that we want to go back home, back to Godhead. But actually, we should not desire that as well. We should just desire what Maharaj Bharata was praying here. So he, of course, this is a classical example of a prayer when we want to offer it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We say first who he is, like we glorify him. So he said that you are, for example, Yagya Purusha. So all the performances of sacrifices are meant for you. Even though in the Vedas and all the other literatures, it is prescribed rules for mystic perfection, for performing fruitive activities, for trying to understand our own existence and the existence of God, which is actually Jnana Yoga. All this actually is meant for us to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also with the actions that we perform in these activities through that yogas, they're all meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he glorifies him. He says that you are the sacrifice personified because you give the result of ritualistic activities. And in that sense, we can connect it to, where is that verse? Yes, verse of the Bhagavad Gita 3.9, which says that work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. So the point is that whatever we do in this world, it will have a little bit of sin inside of it, because even if we have this desire, for example, to cook, like here in the temple, while we cook, we actually kill so many other living entities, like germs, bugs, even though maybe we say we are vegetarians, but someone gets hurt. It's just the nature of the material world. So when we offer in sacrifice to Krishna, for example, food, it can be activities, but it has to have this pure consciousness that we want to give something to Krishna out of love, and that we want to please him, and that we want to satisfy him. So this devotion, if it's there in the offering, then Krishna takes away the sinful part, and it makes the offering as the same as himself. So, and this is what is written in the Bhagavad Gita. I don't have the verse, but he says that the sacrifice, the one who does the sacrifice, or the person who does the sacrifice, what is offered in the sacrifice itself and the result of sacrifice are the same as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's why we call the offerings prasadam, because they are mercy of Krishna, they are non-different from him. And that's why we can get purified by taking this prasadam. So he glorifies him like that. So he says, you give the result of ritualistic activities. You're the protector of the religious systems. We also know that from the Bhagavad Gita, because he comes to establish the principles of religion, to annihilate the miscreants, and to protect his devotees. So millennium after millennium, he descends himself to establish religious systems and to give an example. You're the personification of the mystic yoga, which means that all the siddhis, or like mystic perfections, are in Krishna. He's the greatest mystic, and he's the greatest mystic yogi, because he can perform so many activities which we cannot understand through our senses and our intellect. And then we say that it's the inconceivable power of the Supreme Lord. That's the only way we can rationally understand something. Actually, if we cannot rationally understand something, then we just say, well, it's inconceivable, because it is one of the qualities of Krishna, that he performs inconceivable activities. He is the source of all knowledge, which means that he is as such an absolute truth, so everything emanates from him. He is the cause of everything, but he also gives us knowledge. So it is also described in the Bhagavad Gita how he is situated in everyone's heart, and from him come remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. So everything comes from him. And even when we read books like Srimad Bhagavatam, we cannot understand them without the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's why we chant. So we chant so that we can actually clean the dust from our heart, so that this Krishna who is sitting in our heart can actually make a connection with us, so that we can gain this knowledge. Because we know that we are in ignorance, especially at the beginning of our spiritual life. And the point is that we need to establish the relationship with Krishna. Krishna is situated in the heart. the soul is so covered that it cannot hear Krishna. Sometimes we get this like intuitions, like by intuition we can know something. So then we can see that there is something there. So it's like a confirmation that there is a super soul in the heart. Sometimes we hear it, sometimes we don't. When we don't hear it, it's because of our mind. Like I don't know, we have a lot of speculations in our head. So basically, what is needed is that we establish this connection in the heart with the super soul so that we can receive his instructions, because he's the source of knowledge. He gives the knowledge of how to come to him. And because we are covered and we don't have this connection, that's why we need a spiritual master at the beginning, especially at the beginning of spiritual life, because he's an external manifestation of the super soul within the heart. So what we cannot hear from the super soul, we can hear from the spiritual master. So he gives instructions. And for those who don't have an initiating spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada is the Diksha Guru of all the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. And even if you had a Diksha Guru, the Diksha Guru usually repeats what Srila Prabhupada says. So it's the whole parampara. So it's not even like, for us it's Prabhupada because Prabhupada, he came in the 60s and he translated the Vedic knowledge into English language. So that's why for us this first point of receiving knowledge is him, because he gave all this knowledge and everyone else learned from him. But what Srila Prabhupada is doing also, he's repeating what his spiritual master said, and so it all goes down to Krishna. So when someone asks you a question like, how old is this knowledge? Is this knowledge actually, is this movement actually new? Because you can say it's new, it started in the 60s as part of, some can even say as part of the hippie movement in the United States and so on. But actually, this is the oldest knowledge, and even we can say the oldest institution, because institution is just a form that exists externally, but what it carries is something that actually comes from the beginning of time, we can say, because it comes from Krishna. So Krishna revealed the knowledge to Brahma in his heart, and Brahma is the creator of the material universe. So therefore we can say that the knowledge is old as the creation of this universe, because it comes from the disciplic succession, directly from Krishna. And we have Bhagavad Gita as well, which is the only scripture in the world which was directly spoken, personally spoken by God himself. So if anyone wants to know what Krishna thinks and what are the instructions of Krishna for you, read Bhagavad Gita, because everything is there. And then we have Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means that just by containing the descriptions and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I also have my personal experience from it, at least when I read it first time. Now I'm not systematically reading it so much. But when I first read it, it took me, 2 years or something like that. I was working at the court. I was a trainee and I had a lot of free time. So they wanted us to work maybe 1 hour a day, and I didn't have nothing to do for the next 5 hours or whatever. So I would read Srimad Bhagavatam, and then my friend, she was laughing how the government pays me to read Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's how I read it. But my realization from reading Srimad Bhagavatam was that it is very much alive. It's not an ordinary book. So it's a book that speaks to you, and also whatever you read has some kind of impact on your life, and it can have, like, something can happen in your life while you read Srimad Bhagavatam that is very much connected to what you're reading at this time. So it's like, I don't know, it just, it's like it's leading you through your life. So that's why it's very much alive. And I think it was Sanatana Goswami who sang how Srimad Bhagavatam is his best friend and things like that. I forgot the song, but he treats him as a person. So these all sources of knowledge that I mentioned so far, they are Krishna and they come from Krishna. Then Krishna is the controller of the entire creation, which is definitely true. So he's the one who creates it through the secondary creator, which is Brahma. Then as Vishnu, he maintains it, and then in the form of his servant Shiva, he destroys it. And it goes continuously, actually, throughout the eternity. But the main controller, from whom everything happens, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is the super soul in every living entity, which means he's really present everywhere, not only in every living entity, but in every atom that exists in this material world. So he's there to keep everything together. And why is this also important? And this is what in the Bhagavad Gita, verse 529 speaks about. So I will just read the English translation. So a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all the planets and demigods, and the benefactor of and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So if we understand, so Maharaj Bharat in his prayer, he said things that are in the Bhagavad Gita. And he said it with the conviction and realization that that is so. So therefore, he's very peaceful. So this is the formula for peace for the entire society. If we understand that. If we understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead owns everything. Everything is his property. Then nothing is ours, right? And then we can have this right consciousness that everything we have is given to us as a gift from Krishna in order for us to serve Krishna with all that he gave us. And even the members of our family, friends, whoever we have around us, they're all servants of Krishna. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes the members of his family as servants of Krishna. And by this he gives an example of an ideal family life, or an attitude of a family person in a family life where he sees everyone in service of Krishna, and in that sense also serves them and loves them in that sense. So that's how we can know peace. And what he prays for is that, so he's completely aware, I am quitting this body, offering obeisances unto you, and hoping that I may perpetually engage in your transcendental loving service. So again, an example that is that we can find as an instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 8, it is said that whoever, at verse 5, whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. And one more, the verse after that, verse 6, states that whatever state of being one remembers, when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So I was thinking, like, when you read this verse, what do you think, like, I mean, what does it mean for you? Like, what do you expect if he says, remember me only at the time of death? So we know that whatever we think of at the time of death, that is what we will become. In a way, we will get a certain body that will allow us to perform certain activities according to the state of consciousness. But when he says that when we quit our body remembering him alone and he attains my nature, what does that mean for you? So that's a question for you, if you can answer. What do you expect from Krishna then? Like, what will happen to you in the future if you think of him? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes.
It seems to me a bit difficult to answer because, of course, we think, yeah, okay, we will go back to the spiritual world. But I think so that His Holiness Papa John once thought that actually people who are Krishna conscious in their death, they get one more birth in the material world after they die. And we also know that Prabhupada never became Krishna alone. He still had to take birth again. So um, this nature is probably just that we are able to serve Krishna in that sense. Because this is the nature of the soul, to be doing service to Krishna.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's what I also thought.
where
Because, I mean, he's in a body of a deer, he's perfectly conscious. He remembers his past life and he knows the prayer. I mean, I don't know which age it was, Satya Yuga or whatever age it was. But anyway, so he's speaking the holy name of God because he calls him Yagya Purusha, and that's the name of God. So, and he has a desire. I want to perpetually engage in your transcendental loving service. And he, I mean, of course, there is a verse also and an explanation in the Bhagavad Gita that imperfect yogi or imperfect bhakta, he will get a birth in an aristocratic family or a family of brahmanas, of course. But in a way, when you think about it, okay, he's not perfect, he's in a deer body, but as well, but at the same time, he is Krishna conscious. So he gives just an example that actually our desire should be to engage perpetually in transcendental loving service of the Lord. And it is true, like what you said, that it is true what you said, Yamuna, but it's not 100%, we cannot be 100% sure if that is correct. Also, we cannot be 100% sure if we will get a spiritual body, because there are so many different examples in the Shastras. Like if you read the glories of Tulasi Devi, and I forgot the book, and the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam and the glories of Bhagavad Gita, and one more is there, but I forgot. And there are stories where, I don't know, there was a pure devotee who died and he left his skeleton, and then the head, the skull was left somewhere in water, and this skull was considered, because it comes from the pure devotee, very pure. And then, I don't know if it was a bird or a mouse or whatever, it fell into, or a bird probably. Someone was dying and fell into this water with this skull and achieved liberation. Which means the person, the soul, who was not even a human, went to the spiritual world. And we also know the story about the rat whose tail got inflamed, and he also went to the spiritual world. So, I don't know, like, sometimes I feel like we want to control things. I'm talking from my perspective. We have a need to control things. That's why we are here. So sometimes I feel like that we need to control everything about the spiritual life. But Hari Parshad Prabhu, it was, I think, Easter this year, he was giving lectures about like how to become a pure devotee, what does it mean, and so on. And he said that if we want to become a pure devotee, we have to give up the desire to go back home, back to God. Actually. So whatever Krishna wants to do with us, we will do. So that means that Krishna, it means so many things. It gives an opportunity to Krishna to glorify his devotee, because if you totally surrender to his will, and Krishna loves his devotees, and he will always do what's best for them. And what the favorite thing that Krishna likes to do is to glorify his devotees. And how do we know that? We know that by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, because all these great personalities there and their destinies and stories, they're all in a way managed by Krishna, and they're put there so that his devotees are glorified. So in the same sense, Maharaj Bharat is also glorified, even though he has to take birth 3 times. So as a Maharaj in an aristocratic family who falls because he was attached to a deer, gets a deer body. He remembers everything because of his Krishna consciousness. And then he says this prayer in next life. He gets the body of Jada Bharata. And again, he has this mission. He's engaged all the time in transcendental loving service towards the Lord. And he has a mission to save, for example, Maharaj Rahugana, with whom he speaks and to whom he explains all this material world as a forest of enjoyment, to free him of these things. So this, I just wanted to mention, as something like to think about. And also like to, I don't know how many of you attended Devaki Mataji's seminar. I only attended the second part, but this is where she spoke about like how devotees, it doesn't matter whether we are old, in the middle, or very young, we should think about how we want to die, because it's very important. For example, she has the whole plan, but then this planning part is the control that we all need. And it's okay. Like we, how it says that man proposes and God disposes. So he disposes, yeah. So we can make plans about our life, but then we leave everything to Krishna. So Krishna is the original creator and we are co-creators. And that's totally natural for us because we are part and parcel of him. We have the same qualities, but only in a small quantity. So it's natural for us that we also want to create something, but we always leave it to Krishna. So we should, I don't know, think about like with whom, that's what she was saying, with whom do you want to be surrounded, like at the time of death? What do you want your thoughts to go to? So this kind of like preparation things. And maybe to make a will. I mean, I'm talking now seriously, especially because, we live in a international, we are part of the International Society of Krishna consciousness, and we come to this temple and we live in this temple or don't live in this temple, but we associate with this community, and then we think that automatically everything will be taken care of. But we forget that we are always connected to our families, we are connected to this state, we are connected to the laws of the state. So if you don't have a will of how you want to die, basically your family can do whatever they want. So I'm just saying that this is for me something that I think about, because anything can happen. You can maybe die in 50 years, but you can maybe die in 2 days or something can happen. So it's good that someone knows like how you, at least maybe not how you want to die in the sense of who you want to be surrounded with, but when you die, what you want to happen like to your body. That's also important, because we do have rituals like being I don't know how to say it in English, bathed with Ganga water, holy waters, put tulasi leaves in the holes of our body. We want to be cremated also, because actually if you put tulasi in a body and you make a cremation, according to the Shastras, you're already liberated and there's no way you will go back to the material world, because the potency of tulasi brings you to the spiritual world. So there's so many, we just, sometimes we catch something and then we say it is it, but there's so many ways in which we can go to the spiritual world. So we don't know, even though we try to control all these things. So I just wanted to point that out, and how actually in our hearts we have to contemplate and introspect on how our desires are pure actually, and how much we actually want Krishna. And then, there's this point that Keshava Swami, he said like, and you heard it, whoever was in Kiantal, like, what would you do if someone tells you, if Krishna comes to you and says, like, you can go to the spiritual world now, like, everything is fine, now I take you, we go there to Loka Vrindavan and we have fun and so on, and you have an option that you will live your life here, everything will be fine, you will fulfill all your desires, and then you will go to the spiritual world. So the question is, what will you choose? And a lot of people would not choose the first one, but the second one. And that's because we have these attachments to this material world. We are not ready yet to leave it. So this is an example of how to introspect, but in a way we can also introspect what we are praying for, how sincere we are, and how much in our activities of Krishna consciousness are we doing things to please Krishna. And also, pleasing Krishna means pleasing devotees and things like that. So, so I'm just giving you a material for introspection. And let's see. Yeah, and I also wanted to mention that this prayer is an example of true surrender. And especially the mood of this prayer can be connected to Shishashtakam's verse 4. Na danam na janam na sundarim kavitam vajagati shakamaye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavtad bhakti rahaitu tvai. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. So it doesn't matter, like, whatever you give me. Like, that's why the great devotees, they say, oh, can I be born as a dog in a house of a devotee, just that I can be in the association of these great personalities. So in the same sense, I don't know, some people say, let me be a flower on Lord Krishna's feet, or whatever he desires, so just that I can be in his association, just that I can serve him in whatever way he wants. So this is what I had in mind. So I put some points, how to practically apply this verse in your everyday life. So what we read so far. So we daily try to remember Krishna through chanting our japa, through doing kirtan and shravanam. And I like, this is something that I try to do every morning. It's from Hari Prasad. He said, he quoted from somewhere, and I didn't have time to find it, but I know that it comes from the Shastras because he always quotes everything from the scriptures. So he said that if we chant this prayer at the moment we wake up in the morning, that is considered smaranam according to the Shastras. So even if we don't have the attention, and even if we want to force ourselves, it's like practicing your mind, like to remember. And that's the Krishna, 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 He. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava Pahimam, and then Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rakshamam. So if you say this prayer like automatically, and especially if you know the meaning of the prayer, then automatically you will remember Krishna. So you can try it. Like, this is like a practical application of smaranam in your life. As soon as I wake up, or you can see a picture, it can be something yours, but this is like a very good example of how we can do it. So practically applying this verse, meaning that if we want to really say, I'm quitting this body, offering obeisances unto you, my Lord Krishna, hoping that I will perpetually engage in your transcendental loving service. If we want to have this consciousness, that means we have to be engaged in Sankirtan Yagya, participation in congregational chanting. So, Harinam, Kirtan, even Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be Sankirtan Yagya, because it's Krishna Katha, talks about Krishna. Then, performing our duties for the satisfaction of Krishna, or for Krishna's pleasure, that's the same. So whatever we do, we try to do for him. And try to see the super soul in all living beings. Because by that we are also honoring Krishna. And even it is said that when we offer obeisances to everyone, we are actually offering obeisances to super soul in the heart of everyone. So we are always offering obeisances and respects to Krishna. Of course, everyone else is also part and parcel of Krishna, and by this we will develop compassion and humility, which is also needed to utter such prayers, because if we want to chant purely, we need to follow the principle of the third verse of Shishashtakam, that is Trinada Pisunichana, and so on, which means that we need to be humble, like a blade of grass, tolerant as a tree, of offering respect to everyone and not asking for respect for ourselves. And we should always pray for service, and that's through the Maha Mantra, and not for fulfillment of our desires. So as soon as we even chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we automatically pray for service. And the result that we are chanting good is that we are receiving service. So that's an indication that your connection with Krishna is growing. So the question you should ask yourself to conclude this class is, am I praying for comforts or eternal service like Maharaj Bharat? So, do you have any questions or comments? Yes, Yamuna.
Thank you so much for your wonderful lecture. I have 2 points, and one point is that I think one Maharaj, I'm not sure if it was other religions or not, but um, it was telling that like there are many stories of they get liberated and so on, and you were also mentioning animals and so on, and then he was mentioning that it is actually not meant that you're getting immediately into the spiritual world, but the liberation is there in the sense of the Prabhupada is also giving the example with the fan, right? If you plug out, then the fan is eventually stopping, and then you're actually already liberated in that sense, because you will never be in this endless cycle of birth and death anymore. So maybe this is also to be understood like that they are liberated in the sense that they will never go back to the state of eternally punishment.
Yeah.
But maybe they will not go back immediately, but they have some few lives. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a thought that I wanted to share. Yeah, maybe you can answer the question.
Yes, I mean, I would just say so that you heard some Swami, you probably Satmani Vedananda Swami, that when we were talking about liberation, when he was talking about liberation, when someone experiences liberation because of some boon that the person got, that means that maybe he or she will not immediately go to the spiritual world, but stay here. But it means also that he will not go back to his conditional state. And I don't know how to explain good this analogy with the fan. Like, so when we become, actually I heard it like when we start with the Krishna consciousness, it's like this fan being unplugged, but then it still moves, which means we do have some reactions from the material life, but soon it will stop and then we will gain liberation. But anyway, the point is that it's not maybe how we imagine it, that we can also be liberated by living in this material world by doing service for Krishna. Yes.
I just wanted to add a comment. Yamuna also said that she also heard from someone, from Maharaj, that we do not get liberated right away, but we do get liberated from the conditioned line.
Yeah.
And oftentimes my spiritual master also mentions about this, that when it talks about liberation, it's not that we went back home right away. We actually, after this, one actually gets liberated and is pure enough. One goes to the planet where Lord Krishna is performing its pastime. And he participates in one of those pastimes and gets trained there, and then gets eligible to go back. I mean, and then actually and then I asked him this question, that what about devotees? We know when the Lord was present on this earth, what about those devotees who also participated in those? And he said yes, because those devotees who participated in those pastimes were all mixtures.
Yeah.
And some of them were, like eternal associates, and some of them were also this category that who, got liberated and participated in his pastimes. So it was all a mixture.
Yeah.
And then one gets trained, and then only one can go back to Godhead. Otherwise,
Yeah. So what Nitya Seva is talking, that her spiritual master said that we are actually born, like the person when it's liberated doesn't mean that it goes back to the spiritual world, but that it goes to a planet where, in the material world, where Krishna is performing his pastimes, and then he or she gets trained. Actually, it's a she for everyone. She gets trained. She gets trained and then goes back to the spiritual world. after the training, and it was the same when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, because when he was performing his pastimes in Vrindavan, there was a mixture of devotees. Some devotees who were there in the form of the gopis, for example, were Nitya Siddhas, so eternally liberated, who came from the spiritual world to perform pastimes with Krishna, and others were the ones who got there to get trained. So, and then after the pastimes, bless you, they went back home, back to Godhead. Yeah, so that's also a possibility. Yes. Yes.
I was just thinking it's also possible that you reincarnate, like as you say in the beginning, to inspire or help others.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what is your name? Daria, yeah. Daria says that maybe it's possible also to reincarnate and then so you perform this service of liberating other people, and that's also true. Yeah. So there are many possibilities depending on the relationship actually that we have with Krishna, and all depends also on the desire that you carry in the heart. So it's yeah, there's so many possibilities. But what is beautiful about spiritual life is that every one of us is an individual, and therefore, as an individual, we all are different. And then we all of us have different desires, and according to that, we all have a different relationship with Krishna. Even if you are, for example, a gopi or a cowherd boy or someone in parental relationship with Krishna, that doesn't mean that you're the same as Yamuna or the same as Radharani. You have your own. I mean, when you read about these personalities, for example, in Krishna book, you can see that they're very much different, and that no relationship is the same with Krishna as with this other person. And that's why the Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, because he wants to enjoy. And that's why there are so many eternally innumerable living entities, because he has the capacity to innumerably enjoy with each and every one of us. So in that sense, that's nice, because even though the scriptures give points and they give rules and regulations we have to follow, in the end it comes down to you and Krishna. And so you will have your own relationship with Krishna, but according to your own taste, which you will develop, but it has to be in a pure state. And you need to come to this pure state, each and every one of us, through following these first regulations. And then it is even described when the person comes to a pure level, or he's liberated. Like, for example, 6 Goswamis, they still followed rules to give an example to the society, but internally they had their own relationship with Krishna. So that's very beautiful, actually.
So every soul has its special nature, and that
Yeah.
relationship, and it's the same all the time, every time you reincarnate, right?
The soul has its own. Every time when you reincarnate, it can happen that you forget certain things and that you're conditioned. So that's why we don't. For example, that's what what's her name? I forgot her name. But anyway, she was talking about how we think that what we feel, okay, we can maybe understand that we are not this body, but usually what we feel, what we think that's us, but even that is not us. So, and that's actually the most difficult part to overcome, to understand that you're not this mind and the subtle body, and to purify it. And that comes only through the spiritual practice. But it is true that as a soul who maybe go through a lot of lives, you have your own unique relationship with Krishna. But in which way, you have to discover for yourself. So, but in these examples, in Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially in Chaitanya Charitamrita, because with Chaitanya Charitamrita we can relate more, because it was 500 years ago, that's one thing, and we are doing the same activities they are doing. So if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, for example, then you can see a little bit more how it looks like when someone externally is doing certain things, which means, okay, maybe he's a brahmana, he performs these activities, or he's a sannyasi, he performs these activities. But Chaitanya Charitamrita gives us or not, how do you say, a view in the internal life also of these personalities. So then you can see who actually they are internally, and what kind of relationship they cultivate with Krishna. So it's nice as an example to see it there. And then that's why you need a spiritual master to guide you, little by little, how you can actually find your own relationship with Krishna. But it starts with chanting. Yes. Yeah, sure.
This prayer is a very beautiful prayer, as you said, how we can pray to Krishna also.
Yeah.
I think Viswanya Sachinanda Maharaj once told, like, yeah, it's very powerful if you go in front of the Lord and glorify Him, and then you like offer your respects to Him and also tell Him for what you are grateful for,
Yeah.
and then asking Him to engage in service. And in this way, you are not just going to the Lord and asking for something.
Yeah.
But the form of prayers, if it's built up like this, like Bharat Maharaj is doing, then it's actually the most powerful, because then you allow Krishna to really transform your heart in the best way.
Yeah, that's true. But also there's one more point regarding the prayers. Like sometimes devotees, they say, oh, it is the perfection not to pray to Krishna for yourself, but also we should be realistic when we approach it. Like for example, Maharaj Ambarish, he was attacked by a fiery demon and he didn't ask Krishna for protection. It is said that he did what was most natural for him to do, and that was he was just thinking about Krishna, serving him and so on. But Krishna immediately came and protected him. So that is always there. But sometimes, Krishna sends something is happening to us in our life, and then Krishna sends someone to help us, and then we say, no, we will let Krishna to help us in a certain way that we, speculate in our mind. So that's also like an example of a guy who was, drowning, and then 3 helicopters came, and he refused all the 3 helicopters to save him because he was waiting for God to save him. Something like that. So we also should accept things even in our material life that cannot help us and so on. And also means that, for example, if you have difficulties in your life, you should go to Krishna and you should pray to Krishna, because people are how do you say that word? They feel like shame and like not coming. Of course, Krishna will help you, but this also asking from Krishna something also means developing a relationship. One day we will come to the perfectional stage like Maharaj Ambarish, but we should always come to him, because he's Jagannath. Like for example, our Jagannath is Jagannath, which means the Lord of the universe. So whatever you ask for him, it's like asking for a grain from someone who has, a lot of grains. Like a bird coming to you and asking you for a grain. It's like when you come to Krishna and ask him for something. And if you have a relationship with him, and if for him that's just a grain, like why wouldn't he give it to you? The only reason why he won't give it to you maybe is because maybe you will fall down in the spiritual life, so he will always do something which is beneficial for you spiritually. But if you need something and you're suffering because of something, you should always go to Krishna and just let him take care of you. And also by praying even for our own, let's say, material things, we are also developing a relationship with Krishna. So these are things like nothing is black and white in spiritual life. Sometimes it's easier for us if it is black and white, because then we are like, oh, now we control things, now we know how things are working. But actually, everything is very personal, very individual, and you need to introspect about everything in your life. So, yeah. Thanks for your attention. And wish you a nice day. That's all for today. All the Vaishnavas ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpa tarabhishcha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.